Okay, so this video will look at assignment 1 of the work experience units, and in particular the various work opportunities that you can have within the sports industry. This is the unit spec, so this is what the examination board provides us as a guideline for what we should include in our work and our assessment, and we're looking at clearly here opportunities in terms of sectors and providers of work and types of occupation within the 4 different realms of the sports industry, and also the considerations that you might give before taking on a particular career journey. The assessment criteria, you can see there are pass, merit and distinction level, obviously increasing in demand, and for these assessment criteria we have to look at 4 realistic opportunities for pass and merit, and then you have to evaluate those opportunities for distinction. So you must make sure that you look at 4. And here's our assignment scenario. So you're coming to the end of your college courses and wish to enter the sports industry. You feel overwhelmed by the choices and the breadth of jobs available. Your careers advisor has recommended a work experience placement to sample your preferred job role. Before you can organise this, you must research different sectors, jobs, in the process of deciding exactly what you might wish to pursue. So this just makes sense. You're not quite sure which route you wish to take in terms of your next step in your career, and you need to check out a variety of routes before you decide which route to take. So, work experience then, what's the actual point of work experience? How can it help you in making these decisions? Well, it can give you an opportunity to gain new knowledge or experience skills that you haven't experienced before, meet and learn about people in the workplace, because it's quite a different environment than perhaps your social environment. In fact, sometimes they overlap. Your workmates become friends, and learn about yourself, because work can provide a lot of challenges, a lot of satisfaction for you. It could show you a way in which you can earn more money, so you have a taster of a job, and you then get an understanding of salaries that might be available. A lot of courses that you might choose to do at degree, or certainly our leadership courses at level 3, require you to do some kind of work experience. You might be able to get some additional qualifications along the way, or at least find out what qualifications people in that particular job require, so you know what you've got to aim for. I suppose most importantly, it will help you possibly decide your career route, and it might be that you decide to go for it because you've been totally motivated and loved your experience, or it wasn't something that was for you and you now know that that's not a sort of route that you wish to follow. It can improve your CV, so your curriculum vitae, and give you something very credible to put on it and discuss at any interview you go. And if you get a good report from your placement, it will undoubtedly help and support your employability for future, applications and placements and jobs. So there are different providers of work or work opportunities. If any of you work at leisure centres as a recreational assistant, or work with the kids in the summer at the leisure centres, they are public providers, so they're typically funded by the government, with some support from things like the lottery. So it might well be that if it's the public, the sort of local council leisure centre, then your provider is public. It could be that you wish to work as a personal trainer in an organisation such as Virgin Active. Now they are pretty much all about profit, and it is obviously run as a business, and that will be deemed a private provider. Salary might not be relevant, although you can work in the voluntary sector and get a paid job. I know that sounds not quite right, but a lot of the voluntary organisations have to have infrastructure, have to have people who organise the organisation, and those roles would be paid. So you could go into the voluntary sector. Typically there's less money in there. Or sometimes you find that there are partnerships where 2 of the above providers kind of work together to provide for people. So in actual fact, you used to get dual use sports hall usage. So a school which would come under public, so if you work as a PE teacher, you work for the government, that would be public. What often happened was that in the evenings the facilities are let out for private business purposes, so that would be a dual use partnership. And I believe Wembley functions as a partnership, so it's a company run, but it's national lottery or public money provided also. So there are different types of providers, and that might be part of your decision process. This slide actually I stole from a Bath University presentation I have, and what it really does, what I think it does very well, is show you the vast range of roles and opportunities that you can have within sport. Now, this is based on their sports development unit at the university, where they have a range of different sub-units, so sports science, the facilities, the coaching side of things, the teacher training side of things, and so on. And within those subsections or sub-units, there's this myriad of roles and outcomes. So again, really this just shows you could work within any one of these subcategories. So these are all possible roles, all just based via the Bath University provision. So now we're moving on to the nitty-gritty. Task 1 in assignment 1. Now this is for pass and merit, so it requires you to describe and explain the 4 roles within each of the 4 different sectors, and you need to do some research on these. So what are these 4 sectors that I'm referring to? So here they are. You probably recognise, in fact, all of them. You've probably been part of or experienced something from all of them. We've got sport and rec, health and fitness, outdoor education, and sport and exercise science. So those of you that have been with me to Bath University or Chichester University for physiology visit, you'll have met an exercise physiologist. If you are doing the biomechanics unit with me, we will meet a biomechanist, and so on. So they're all roles that you might find within the sport and exercise science sector. Similarly, for outdoor and adventure activities, or you may have done it at school or at college, there are several roles. Obviously specialist instructors, so there's a kayaking instructor, a climbing instructor, and so on, or a mapper, the person who generates maps for you to use for orienteering or for hiking or whatever. So again, there's various roles within the outdoor education sector. We've got our health and fitness sector. Now, almost all of you will know of or have been trained by or possibly want to be a personal trainer, or you've met a sports therapist or a physiotherapist, and these guys would come under the health and fitness sector. And finally, the sport and recreation sector, so your PE teachers, any coaches of your sports teams, your leisure centre staff, these guys all work under the sport and recreation sector. Now what you have to do for task 1 of this assignment is research a job from each of these 4 sectors. Where to look for these jobs? So there's a variety of places. Here are some as an example. You might want to pause and have a look at these a bit more closely. REPS is an organisation that registers people who have fitness or training instructing qualifications. Obviously university websites will help. Brighton Hove Council will perhaps give you some public recreational opportunities. Sports Coach UK, Sport England, there's loads there for you to look at. Virgin Active, of course, we have connections with, and these represent national governing bodies. So within each of the national governing bodies there will be several roles, and don't forget, no offence, but this is a reminder of your parents might have contacts that you can use to find connections for your work experience or your research. These are 2 acknowledged websites again for you to have a look at. These have been recommended to check out in order to find jobs. So when you do your research, this is the sort of information that we need you to get. You need to find out essentially what the job is about, what the job requires, or what the job needs. So the purpose of the job, what role you would have as the employee, what skills do you need as the employee. Because if you're checking out a particular job, you want to know whether you're capable of it or not, whether it's something that you'd be interested in or not. So you need to find out this kind of information. And what I've got here is a job description for a personal trainer at Virgin Active. So the purpose of their job is to improve the physical fitness of client. Pretty straightforward. And I'd expect you to make a purpose statement in your task 1 in your assignment. I'd also expect you to give me a breakdown in the role of this job or this person as an employee. So they need to give fitness sessions, they need to use a range of fitness methods, they need to motivate clients, and so on and so on. So this is what their actual role is in order to fulfill the purpose of their job. Again, you need to do this for each of the 4 jobs that you research. And the skills of this employee as a personal trainer. So obviously communication is absolutely massive. Enthusiasm, knowledge, training qualifications, and program writing. So this is what the skill, or these are the skills that that role or that job as a personal trainer requires of you. So for P1 and M1, you need to research 4 jobs. You must pick one from each of the 4 sectors and write that kind of a detailed breakdown to explain the purpose, role and skills of each job. Moving on to distinction then. This is important because you've now got to weed out of those 4, 3 jobs that aren't as suited as the one you're going to choose to do your work experience for. So you need to figure out if there's a match between you and the job, or if there's a mismatch between you and the job. And obviously you want to choose the one which you are best matched with. So here's a screenshot of the assignment brief which you need to pick out. You need to bullet point the strengths and weaknesses of your job, the 4 jobs, and also the opportunities. So what can you benefit from taking on this job? What will it offer you? Or what will be the problems associated with this job? And that could be anything from it's too far away, there's travel expenses, there's no progression, there's too many hours, that kind of thing. And then you need to use analytical writing style to explain and evaluate these things in prose form, so you're writing full sentences. So this is kind of like your preparation to actually write up your evaluation of this job. So if I was writing personal trainer here, then I would do my bullet points for this and write this up as a full sentence, remembering you've got to do this for job 1, job 2, job 3 and job 4, and each of those jobs are from a different sector. But don't forget that you need to compare what the job needs and offers to you, and what you're like, what your qualities are, the qualifications you've got, what your strengths and weaknesses, and what you're interested in. And this will obviously be your comparison. This is your context for evaluating each of the jobs, because you've got to evaluate them best based on you. So, pros and cons. These are the sorts of things you might talk about. The skills that the job requires or that you have. The restrictions or opportunities within the health and safety regulations. So if it's riddled with health and safety issues, that you might not wish to pursue that. The hours, the shift work, is it long shifts? How often? Do you get days off? Are there any costs associated with it? Do you have to buy any equipment? Is it local to you, or do you have to travel? How will you get there? Do you have transport? Will you have to pay for transport? Is the job highly competitive? Do you need any qualifications to become this job or to enter this job? Or can you gain more qualifications during it? Is there a good progression route if you want to get promotion? And of course, salary does matter one way or the other. So I very quickly put in here sample distinction level writing. Make sure that you make a point, give an example, explain your point and develop your point. And the red words here are linking phrases that I've put in. However shows a sort of a development, a challenging point, and this because that's it, or explanation linking. Here's an example. So follow this pattern to work at the right level.